So Chamonix, for all its extreme sports credentials, is severely lacking in water sports. The 2 or 3 small lakes in the valley itself, you're not allowed to swim in or do any kind of boating on them, and there's basically no kayaking in the area either. But if you have access to a vehicle, and indeed in some instances a lift pass, there are a handful of places that you can actually go for a pretty decent wild swim if you search around. So I've started this little mini series just to highlight some of these locations. For episode 1, I've come to Lac Passy, which is about 20-25 minute drive just down the valley out of Chamonix. And this is a pretty large old gravel pit which has been filled up and then landscaped specifically for swimming and other water sports. So let's go take a look. So I've just come back to the car to warm up. It's the last day of September now, so temperature plummets as soon as you lose the sun. That said, the water's still a really pleasant temperature, but getting in and out of the water's not so pleasant. In terms of a place to come and wild swim, it's certainly not very wild, but what it lacks in wilderness, it makes up for in the absolutely stunning 360-degree panoramic views, and of course, the swimming. I mean, it's a pretty sizable lake, so you can get a decent amount of swimming in if you're actually up for doing some lemps or whips. Even just in terms of lounging around, you've got plenty of water to utilise. And you've got views of Mont Blanc in one direction, the Chain des Aravis in the other, and you can even just about see the Fizz to one side as well. So stunning mountains all around. And the water's perfectly clear, as you will have seen in some of the video clips. It would just about be possible to get here by public transport from Chamonix if you're really determined, although it requires taking several buses and trains. It's much easier to get here by car. It's just a simple drive straight down the motorway and you're here in 20-25 minutes. If you don't have a car, your best bet's probably to take a bike on the train as far as Cotswold or maybe Passy-le-Fayet, and then just cycle down here. Again, cycle back to Passy-le-Fayet and get the train back up the mountain at the end of the day. So yeah, it's definitely possible without a car, but a car makes life much, much easier. Access to the lake is free, theoretically, year-round, although there is a bit of a token parking charge at the peak of the summer season, which only lasts for about 6 to 8 weeks. I think it's only €2, so it's hardly a big issue, but it's more likely that you'll struggle to physically find a space in the car park in peak summer season, especially in the middle of August. If you're not here by midday, then the car park's going to be full. I usually just park out on the road anyway, as do hundreds of other people, so when you're driving along here on a sunny day in August, the whole area will just be rammed with cars. So it's something that's very, very busy. So it's a good job it's such a big lake. Although finding space around the edge of the lake can be difficult, especially at weekends or in the evenings. Most of the lake is unguarded and unsupervised, although there is a quite sizable beach at the far end, which has lifeguards throughout the peak summer season, and that is patrolled and maintained. The rest of it is the case of do so at your own risk, and if you die at its own stupid fault, which is pretty much what it is in most places in France anyway. There's also an inflatable raft area in the middle of the lake, again in peak summer season, which you have to pay for. But again, that kind of like the big inflatable assault courses that you see popping up all over the place now, there's one of those here. And there's pedalo hire, possibly even paddleboard hire there as well. In terms of other activities, there's kids play areas, there's beach volleyball, there's a kind of high ropes course, zip wire type thing. I think there's sometimes bounce castles at the other end of the lake as well. So yeah, there's all sorts of activities to keep you entertained all through the day if you come here in the height of summer. Out of season it's much quieter, and it's a pretty pleasant place to come on an evening to go for a run or a bike ride in with nice views, but relatively quiet and peaceful. So I'll kick things off in this first episode for giving this I think 4 out of 10 in terms of a wild swimming destination. In terms of an open water swimming spot, it's 8 or 9 out of 10, it's brilliant. But in terms of wild swimming, it's a little bit tame and very much lacking on the wild side. But it's a great place to come and relax on a hot day, and even indeed on a relatively cool evening.